And welcome back. Now we move on to the 6th mission of the Joan of Arc campaign, A Perfect Martyr.
July 14th, Bordeaux, new Joan of Arc. A rich world made empty and poor. The English put her on trial as a heretic. Joan's mind was as sharp as her sword, and she avoided all the cunning verbal traps of her persecutors. In the end, Joan would not renounce her mission. The English found her guilty and burned her at the stake. But her death is not in vain. La Pucelle is the rallying cry, as peasant and nobleman alike take arms. My army is an army of the people. And even without the king, we are poised to strike at the English stronghold of Castillon. A victory at Castillon will crush the English pretensions in France forever. Should I die in this battle, I die for the Maid of Orléans. I die as a patriot of France.
Whoops. Alright, main objectives. The trade cart carrying the French flag must survive. Rendezvous with the French army, commanded by Constable Richemont. Rendezvous with the French artillery, commanded by Jean Bureau. Plant the French flag, loaded in a trade cart, on the hill in Castillon, covered with flags. The French army can only support a population of 125. Most of the land here is occupied. You will have to displace Burgundy in order to build a town. Do not knock down all of Burgundy's walls. You can use them for your own defense. Longbowmen are powerful, but bombard cannons are better. That's a lie. Bombard cannons may outrange longbowmen by 1, but their projectiles are slower, and bombard cannons are also slower, making them easy pickings for longbowmen that can actually move. You can order bombard cannons and other siege weapons to the no attack stand if they are hurting your own troops. Your scouts report. The French are mustering their forces to avenge the death of Joan and to drive the English out of France once and for all. Joscelin, the French commander, has brought the French flag to the battlefield with the aim of planting it on the hill near Castillon. A large French army awaits his command, but is low on supplies. The Burgundians have walled town to the west of your position with ample resources. The Earl of Shrewsbury camps to the north of the Burgundian town. He has brought heavy cavalry to the battlefield. They should be no match for the French heavy cavalry. The English army is the most dangerous opponent. They will fiercely defend the hill with longbowmen, cavaliers, trebuchets, onagers, and fortifications. The issue we had this with last time is that we took too long and wasn't aggressive enough with our starting forces, which led us to getting overwhelmed by the 3 forces at the same time.
Sweet Joan, I shall avenge thee.
Lord Jocelyn,
Oh yeah.
the army awaits your command.
But this time we're going to take care of the Burgundian garrison and then move on towards Burgundy, which is in the south.
Oh yeah.
We fight for the Maid of Orléans!
La Hille's sword is not bloody enough.
We'll see how English longbows fare against French canons.
Pastisseau.
You guys can gather wood while we're gone.
Que fait l'hiver, certes. Cueilleur. Prêt. Oh yeah. Que fait l'hiver, oh yeah, certes. L'hiver, certes. L'hiver. Da. Oh yeah, l'hiver. Que fait?
My lord,
Oh yeah.
perhaps we should defeat the Burgundians and establish our base in their own town.
Prêt.
Just as
Certes. Cueilleur. Que fait l'hiver? Certes. Oh yeah. Prêt. Certes. Oh yeah. Assault. L'hiver. Que fait? Cueilleur. Oh yeah. L'hiver. Bonjour. Prêt. Certes. Oh yeah. À la bataille. Que fait? L'hiver. À la bataille. Bien. Oh yeah, ça, l'hiver. Ça y est. Attends. Là. Bonjour. À la bataille. Que fait? L'hiver. L'hiver. Bien. Prêt. Bonjour. Mon Dieu. Bien. L'hiver. Oh yeah, ça. Prêt. Oh yeah, que fait? Bien. L'hiver. L'hiver. Que fait?
Dang it, John Bureau.
Prêt. Oh yeah. Attends. Que fait? L'hiver. Là. Oh yeah. Bien. L'hiver. Oh yeah. Prêt. À la bataille. Que fait? Prêt. L'hiver. Que y a? Prêt. Oh yeah. Que fait? Que y a? Prêt. Que y a? Que fait? Que y a? Attends. Prêt. Que y a? Là.
And we lost a cannon.
Que fait? Prêt. L'hiver. Oh yeah. L'hiver. Que y a?
That's not good.
Que fait? Oh yeah. Prêt. L'hiver. 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 Oh yeah. L'hiver. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
No, get away.
Que fait? Certes. Bonjour. Prêt. L'hiver. Certes. Que y a? Attends.
You guys can go south. Hopefully this will be enough to take down the army in the south.
Que fait? Oh yeah. Certes. Oh yeah. Bonjour. L'hiver. À la bataille. Que y a? Prêt. Oh yeah. Que fait? Prêt. L'hiver. Certes. Là. L'hiver.
Ah, here's the crossing.
Que y a? Prêt. Certes. Que fait? Que y a? Oh yeah. À la bataille. Prêt. Certes. Bonjour. Que fait? L'hiver. Oh yeah. Que y a? L'hiver. Oh yeah. Prêt. Oh yeah.
I think we're safe enough where we can just take the rest of our forces and then just,
Que y a? Certes.
just go straight north.
L'hiver. Certes. L'hiver. Oh yeah.
Hopefully.
Que fait? Prêt.
Oh right, there's also a town center in here.
Certes. Que y a? L'hiver.
Oh, let's bring all our villagers here.
Que fait? Prêt. Que fait? Oh yeah. Que y a? L'hiver. Attends. Que fait? Oh yeah. Certes. Que y a? L'hiver. Oh yeah. L'hiver. Prêt. Bonjour. Que fait? Que y a? Certes. Oh yeah. Prêt. Certes. L'hiver. À la bataille. Oh yeah. L'hiver. Oh yeah. Attends. Que fait? Da. Attends. Prêt. Certes. L'hiver. Da. Que y a? Bonjour. Oh yeah. L'hiver.
Oh no 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 no
Que
no.
y a? Que fait? Que fait? Oh yeah. L'hiver. Certes. Oh yeah. L'hiver. Que fait? Prêt à la bataille. Que y a? Certes. Bonjour. Que fait? L'hiver.
Ah, the trebuchet died.
Prêt. Oh yeah. Certes. Oh yeah. L'hiver. Certes. Assaut. Que fait? Que y a? Oh yeah. Da. À la bataille. Que fait? Certes. L'hiver. Certes. L'hiver. Oh yeah. L'hiver. Certes. Oh yeah. Certes. Oh yeah. L'hiver. Da. Prêt. certes. Bonne joie. Que fait? L'hiver. À la bataille. Prêt, assaut. L'hiver. Cueilleur. Oyel. Cueilleur. Certes. Que fait? Oyel. Cueilleur. Prêt. Que fait? Cueilleur. Oyel. Que fait? Prêt. Que fait?
Okay. Oil.
My lord, we have captured the Burgundian
That's
stockpile of resources.
Now we failed to take out the Burgundians.
Prêt. Cueilleur. Certes. Bonne joie. Que fait? Assaut. L'hiver. Prêt. Cueilleur. Oyel. Là.
Kefe. Oe. Kefe.
Certes.
Kei. Mineo. Libe.
Que fait? Prêt. Cueilleur. À la bataille. L'hiver. Prêt. Cueilleur. Certes. L'hiver. Oyel. Certes.
Prêt.
Prêt.
Vilain. Bastisso.
Oe.
Prêt.
Kei. Libe. Oe. Verax.
Barreau.
Ah, damn it. We failed to kill the Burgundians early.
Prêt. Bastissor. Kefe. Vilain. Prêt. Verax. Oe. Oil. Bastissor.
Cueilleur. Livré. Verax. Certes. Bastisso. Que fait? Cueilleur. Vilain.
Que fait? L'hiver. Prêt. Certes. Que fait?
Where is your precious peasant general now?
Que fait? Oyel. Certes. Que fait? L'hiver. Prêt. À la bataille. Certes. Cueilleur. Que fait? L'hiver. Cueilleur. Certes. L'hiver. Prêt. Oyel. Assaut. L'hiver. Da. Oyel. Certes. Oyel. À la bataille. Da.
Ohé. Prêt.
Kefe. Bastissor. Kei. Vilain.
Oh, no.
That might tell you.
Que fait? Prêt.
Ah, and we also lost a cannon again. Why did we do this?
Cueilleur. Mineo.
Kefe. Vilain. Certes. Libe. Mineo.
Okay, we took out Shrewsbury. That's good.
Prêt. Mineo.
Now we just have
Kei.
to
Verax.
annoy Burgundy enough and kill them.
Oe. Libe. Vilain.
Damn it.
Kei. Oe. Oil. Kefe. Mineo. Prêt. Oil. Bastissor. Kei.
Que fait? Oyel. Verax. Ohé.
Stop gaining villagers, come on.
Prêt.
Prêt. Livré. Vilain.
Oe. Certes. Vilain. Kefe. Verax. Pêchéor. Verax. Libe. Certes.
Oh, they rebuilt the town center. Wonderful.
Que fait? Bonne joie. Cueilleur.
Prêt.
Que fait? C'est vilain. Livré. Vilain.
Kefe. Vilain.
fait, l'hiver. Assaut, certes, oyel, l'hiver. Certes. Prêt.
Ohé. Prêt.
Virax, vilain.
Kay, Libet.
Cueilleur.
Okay, hopefully after we take out this town center, we'll have some way.
You are nothing without Joan.
Libet.
Prepare for
Oyel.
battle. We come. Prêt, vilain, vilain.
Prêt, vilain.
Que fait, certes, oyel.
What do you mean you come? We haven't prepared properly yet.
Cueilleur, artisan. Prêt, oyel, vilain, vilain. Artisan.
Prêt, l'hiver. Certes. L'hiver.
Ah, we need more stone or something.
Que fait, minéo. Cueilleur, artisan, artisan.
Que fait? Néo.
Ohé, certes, vilain. Que fait? Prêt, cueilleur,
Cueilleur.
minéo.
Que fait, oyel. Cueilleur, l'hiver. Oyel, bonjour. Prêt.
Ohé.
Cueilleur, certes, l'hiver.
Kay, certes.
Prêt, que fait, prêt, oyel.
Ohé, prêt, minéo. Cueilleur, minéo.
Prêt, Minéo.
Que fait, cueilleur, certes, l'hiver.
Oh, here they come.
Que fait, oyel, certes, cueilleur. Prêt, l'hiver. Oyel. Cueilleur, certes.
Que fait? Minéo. Minéo. Pastisor. Ohé.
Good day for the hill to die.
Alright, this is not working. Restart. Let's try to wipe out the villagers in the top base first.
Sweet Joan, I shall avenge thee.
Que
Lord
fait,
Jocelyn,
l'hiver.
the
Certes,
army
l'hiver,
awaits your
oyel.
command.
Certes, oyel, certes, l'hiver, oyel, certes, l'hiver, certes, l'hiver, oyel, certes, l'hiver, oyel, certes, oyel, l'hiver, certes, l'hiver, oyel, l'hiver, oyel, certes, prêt.
We fight for the Maid of Orleans!
La Hill sword is not bloody enough.
Cueilleur, oyel,
We'll
l'hiver,
see
prêt.
how English
Que fait,
longbows
certes,
fare
prêt.
against
Cueilleur,
French cannon.
prêt. Oyel, que fait, cueilleur, l'hiver, certes,
Kay, certes. Pastisor. Que fait?
que fait, prêt. Oyel, l'hiver, certes, oyel, l'hiver. Cueilleur, certes, oyel, l'hiver, certes, que fait,
My lord,
prêt. Cueilleur, l'hiver, oyel,
Perhaps
certes,
we should
oyel.
defeat the Burgundians and establish our
Cueilleur,
base in
certes,
their own
l'hiver,
town.
que fait.
Just a thought.
Cueilleur, l'hiver, certes, l'hiver, oyel, certes, l'hiver, certes. Prêt, que fait, cueilleur, oyel, certes, que fait. Prêt, cueilleur, prêt. Assaut, bonjour, d'armes, à la bataille. Que fait. Prêt, que fait, cueilleur, l'hiver, oyel, certes. Que fait, l'hiver, certes, oyel, l'hiver, oyel. Bonjour, prêt, l'hiver, certes. Oyel, d'armes, l'hiver, certes. L'hiver, à la bataille. Cueilleur, cueilleur, certes. Assaut, d'armes. Que fait, oyel, certes. Prêt, l'hiver. Que fait. Cueilleur. Que fait, oyel, l'hiver, à la bataille. Prêt, oyel. Cueilleur, prêt. Que fait, cueilleur. Que fait, assaut. l'hiver.
God damn it.
Bonjour.
Damn you monks.
Prêt. Cueilleur. Que fait? Assaut. Prêt. Oyel. Bonjour. Cueilleur. Certes. Da. L'hiver. Oyel. Certes. À la bataille. Prêt. Cueilleur. Certes. Que fait? Cueilleur. Que fait? L'hiver. Certes. Prêt. Oyel. L'hiver. Oyel. L'hiver. Cueilleur. Prêt.
I really hate those monks.
Que fait? Cueilleur. Certes. L'hiver.
I'm almost out of cavalry, which is a terrible problem.
Prêt. Que fait? Prêt. Que fait? Certes. L'hiver. L'hiver. Cueilleur. Oyel. Certes. Da. L'hiver. Oyel. Certes. Oyel. Certes. Prêt. L'hiver. Oyel. Que fait? Cueilleur. L'hiver.
We can take my cavalry down south.
Prêt. Certes. Oyel. L'hiver. Certes. Oyel. Certes. Bonjour.
It's not much, maybe I can take this and take down the town center down there.
Kay, bûcheron. Virax. Pastissor. Oé.
Ohé, que fait?
Cueilleur. L'hiver. Que fait? Oyel. L'hiver. Cueilleur. Certes.
Prêt. Oï. Pastissor.
Que fait? Assaut. Prêt. À la bataille. Que fait? Oyel. Certes. L'hiver. Cueilleur. Da. Bonjour. Certes. À la bataille.
It is here.
Oh, come
My
on.
tale will end.
I need those heroes alive, come on.
Prêt. Que fait? Cueilleur. Prêt. L'hiver. Que fait? Prêt. Oyel. L'hiver. Certes. Oyel. Certes. Cueilleur. L'hiver. L'hiver. Que fait? L'hiver. Certes. L'hiver. Oyel. Certes. L'hiver. Oyel. Prêt. Certes. Oyel. Cueilleur. L'hiver. Assaut. Prêt.
Kay.
Prêt, l'hiver. Bûcheron, Virax.
Then we can drag these guys over.
Virax.
Where is your precious peasant general now?
Pastissor.
Oé. Bûcheron. Pastissor.
Que fait? Certes. À la bataille. L'hiver. Certes. Oyel. Assaut. Da.
lord. We have captured the Burgundian stockpile of resources.
Cueilleur, Oyel, prêt. Livet, cueilleur, que fait? Livet, prêt. Que fait? Oyel, Oyel, Oyel.
Cueilleur, Mineo. Bastisso.
Prêt. Café. Livet. Virax. Oil. Pastisor.
Alright, that town center is almost down.
Cueilleur, prêt. Que fait? Cueilleur, Livet. Bonjour, prêt. Certes. Que fait? Cueilleur, prêt. Livet. Oyel.
I have no idea where the other villagers are.
Cueilleur, certes.
Oe. Maru. Livet. Oil. Sef. Mineo.
Que fait? Cueilleur, Livet. Oyel. Que fait? Oyel. À la bataille. Prêt. Que fait? Livet. Prêt. Cueilleur. Prêt. Que fait? Bonjour. Cueilleur, certes. Que fait? Assaut. Prêt. Livet. Cueilleur, certes. Que fait? Oyel. Bonjour. Livet. Oyel. Cueilleur, certes. Livet. Prêt. Certes. Que fait? Oyel. Certes. Livet. Assaut.
Que fait? Mineo. Bastisso.
Alright, then let's build this castle.
Prêt. Virax. Livet. Bastisso.
Quickly gather some gold.
Prêt. Oyel. Cueilleur, certes. À la bataille. Prêt. Cueilleur.
Oe. Maro. Certes. Pastisor. Livet. Oil.
Let's go over here and take over this base.
Que fait? Livet. Prêt. Assaut. Que fait? Oyel. Certes. À la bataille. Livet. Da. Cueilleur. Oyel. Que fait? Bonjour. Prêt. À la bataille. Cueilleur. Que fait? Certes. Oyel. Bonjour. Prêt. Livet.
Prêt. Café. Mineo. Livet.
Oe. Bastisso.
You
Okay,
are
Virax.
nothing without
Pastisor.
you. Prepare for battle. We come.
Alright, Shrewsbury resigned. That's still positive.
Cueilleur. Assaut. Certes. Oyel. Livet. Certes.
Cueilleur.
Oe. Certes. Mineo. Café. Livet. Pastisor.
Prêt. Cueilleur. Livet. Oyel. Oyel. Oyel.
Just gotta figure out where the Burgundians are. Well, they are spawning villagers, so they're
Que
somewhere.
fait? Prêt. Livet. Certes. À la bataille. Certes.
We
Oyel.
must abandon France
Que
for the
fait?
French.
Sef. Oil.
Oh, well, that takes care of it.
Livet. Oil. Maru.
Cueilleur. Que fait? Livet. Da.
And there's some cannon galleons causing trouble.
Cueilleur. Artisan.
Oh, that's my my only trebuchet. Come back.
Kay, Virax, Maro,
Ohé, Serax. Bastisso.
Prêt. Que fait? Cueilleur. Assaut. Bonjour. Certes. Da.
Bolleray!
À la bataille. Assaut. Prêt. Oh yeah, leave it. Certes.
Oh, there goes a town center.
Libet, Bûcheron.
Hey,
Kay, Rastissor, Oil, Linéo, Rastissor,
Cueilleur. Que fait? Bonjour.
Pré,
que fait? Bûcheron.
Ohé,
Oil. Bastisso.
Prêt. Que fait? Que fait? Cueilleur. Prêt. Que fait? Oh yeah. Cueilleur. Prêt. Certes. Oh yeah.
Bolleray!
Que fait? Cueilleur. Prêt.
Bolleray!
Just got to advance to Imperial Age.
Bastisso. Bastisso. Cueilleur. Livé. C'est livé. Bûcheron. Que fait?
And get a lot of wood.
Féfé, Bûcheron, Bûcheron,
Que fait? Livet. Cueilleur. Oh yeah. Certes. Livet. Certes. Oh yeah.
Hey, Virax. Bastisso. Cueilleur.
Ohé, certes, Libet, Rastissor,
Que fait? Ohé. Hey, cueilleur. Bastisso.
Kéfé, Oil, Minéo,
We should stock up more stone in case we need more castles.
Que
Because
fait?
we're gonna need more
Certes.
castles.
Prêt. Livet. Oh yeah. Cueilleur. Que fait? Certes. Livet. Prêt. Oh yeah. Bonjour. Cueilleur. À la bataille. Prêt. Da. Que fait?
We should also take over the south base if we can.
Pré, Kay, Kéfé, certes, Rastissor,
I wonder if this tower's still here. Probably not.
Pré,
Que fait? Bûcheron. Oil. Prêt. Bûcheron. C'est Virax.
They should
Bastisso.
pop down the town center right there where their town center used to be. And yeah, it looks like the tower's gone.
Kay,
But we should still prepare a decent army.
Ohé, Vilain, Rastissor, Vilain,
Ohé. Bastisso.
Pré, Rastissor, Ohé, Pastisor, pastisor.
Quem é? Pastisor. Oé. Que fait? Pastisor.
Ok, pastisor. Que fait? Pastisor.
Prêt, levé, certes, vilain.
Ok, pastisor. Prêt. Vilain, Pérax. Bûcheron.
Nah, they have their army just like stationed right out there.
Que fait? Artisan. Quem é? Pastisor. Oé. Pastisor.
Oé. Libet, oil. Pastisor.
Prêt. Pastisor. Que fait?
Que
Pastisor.
fait? Pastisor.
Quem é? Pastisor. Prêt. Pastisor.
Buy some food, and then we can take Imperial Age.
Oé. Vilain.
Oh dear. Why did he decide to go south? I have no idea. I might have to abandon this one. Or come back to it later, either or. Yeah, the cavalry are technically still stronger than our French knights.
Oé.
Ok. Pastisor.
Quem é? Verax. Oil. Pastisor. Que fait?
Que fait? Certes. Pastisor. Pastisor.
Oé. Pastisor.
Cueilleur, prêt, que fait? Cueilleur, certes. Assaut. Prêt. Oh yes, libère. Oh yes. Certes. Cueilleur, libère.
Prêt.
It'd be easier if our cavalry can catch up to longbows faster.
Que fait? Prêt.
Que fait? Virax. Oil. Pastisor.
Prêt.
Oé. Libet. Pastisor.
Que fait? Pastisor.
Cueilleur, que fait? Prêt. Oh yeah, que fait? Cueilleur.
Black.
Ohé! Pastisor.
Need more farmers.
Prêt. Minéo. Pastisor. Kay. Virax. Pastisor. Oé. Pastisor. Pastisor. Pastisor.
Prêt. Pastisor.
I'm confident we can block at least one more attack.
Prêt. Pastisor. Que fait? Pastisor.
Cueilleur. Pastisor.
Kay.
I think they might could have probably cleared out of this area by
Prêt.
now.
Vilain. Pastisor. Vilain.
Prêt. Pastisor.
Hopefully.
Ohé! Pastisor.
And it's not my trebuchet.
Cueilleur, assaut. Que fait? Libère.
And you're attacking with scorpions now.
Cueilleur, certes. Oh yeah.
Not getting through this pass. And now I finally get Paladin upgrade. And Chivalry, so we can increase the production rate of our structures. Or stables.
Kay. Pastisor. Oé. Pastisor.
Kiev,
Livet.
Virax, Bastisto. Que fait? Bastisto.
Que fait? Certes. Pastisson.
Ohé. Bastisto. Bastisto. Bastisto.
And we start shooting some bombards.
Que fait?
Prêt. Virax. Pastisson. Ohé.
Oh, we're almost at population cap.
Pastisson. Que fait?
Kiev. Bastisto.
Kay. Pastisson.
Prêt. Bastisto. Ohé. Bastisto.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Que fait? Livet. Oh yeah, Livet. Certes. Livet. Oh yeah.
I guess we can make use out of these garrisoned archers now.
Prêt. Certes. Oh yeah.
Ohé. Livet. Oil. Pastisson.
Que fait? Bastisto.
Que y a? Livet. Da. Que fait? Prêt. Certes. Oh yeah. Bonjour. Livet. Certes. Livet. Que fait? Que y a? Prêt. Oh yeah. À la bataille. Que fait? Certes. Da. À la bataille. Bonjour. Que y a? Prêt. Que fait? Oh yeah. Livet. Certes. Prêt. Que y a? Livet. Oh yeah. Certes. Oh yeah. Certes. Assaut. Prêt. Livet. Oh yeah. Que y a? Que fait? Livet. Certes. Que y a? Oh yeah. Livet. Oh yeah. Certes. Que fait? Livet. Bonjour. Certes. Da. Prêt. Que fait? Livet. Oh yeah. Certes. Oh yeah. Livet. Oh yeah. À la bataille. Livet. Certes. Oh yeah. Assaut.
Should have brought more bombards.
Que fait? Artisan.
Prêt. Certes. À la bataille. Livet. Oh yeah. Assaut. Bonjour. Certes. Livet. Da.
Get rid of these fishing ships. They're not useful anymore.
Que y a? Que fait? Oh yeah.
That's an English castle down.
Prêt. Certes. Assaut. Que y a? Livet. Bonjour. Prêt. Da. Que fait? Oh yeah. Certes. Oh yeah. Certes. Que y a?
Prêt. Certes. Pastisson.
I guess we're pulling some English warships right here.
Que fait? Livet. Oh yeah. Certes. Prêt. Que y a? Livet. Certes. Oh yeah. Livet.
Or not.
Oyel. Que fait? Certes. Prêt. À la bataille. Cueilleur, l'hiver. Certes, que fait? Prêt. Bonjour. Cueilleur, Oyel, l'hiver. Certes, Oyel, l'hiver. Oyel. Certes, l'hiver. Certes. Assaut, Oyel. L'hiver. Da. Prêt, Oyel. Cueilleur, l'hiver. Oyel. Que fait? À la bataille.
Where's the spare villager when you need one? Oh, there they are. I guess you guys can go mine some gold.
Leo.
Prêt. Cueilleur.
You guys can build some stables forward.
Bastisto.
Cueilleur, certes, que fait? Prêt, l'hiver. Certes. Oyel. Que fait? L'hiver. Oyel. Cueilleur, prêt. Certes, l'hiver. Assaut. Bonjour. Que fait? À la bataille.
And we're running out of gold fast.
Ohé. Certes. Bastisto.
Cueilleur, l'hiver. Da, prêt, Oyel, l'hiver. Que fait? Certes. Oyel. Prêt, certes, l'hiver. Oyel, l'hiver. Assaut, à la bataille. Cueilleur. Que fait? Oyel, bonjour. Certes. Da, l'hiver. Oyel, bonjour.
Let's castle down and just clean up the villagers. And spies to see where the rest of them are. Oh, that's a large army over there.
Cueilleur.
Oh, I guess I should go that beach workshop.
Bastisto.
Prêt. Certes.
Or wood.
Prêt. Livré. Pastisseau.
Que fait? Pastisseau.
Que fait? Pastisseau. Ohé. Prêt.
Que fait? L'hiver. Certes. Prêt.
Why did you decide to move towards the bombard tower? Come on, man.
Que fait? Oil. Certes. Pastisseau.
Da. Cueilleur. Prêt. Assaut. Cueilleur.
There, and don't run towards it.
Que fait? Cueilleur. Da.
Cueilleur. Certes. Pastisseau.
Prêt. Oh yeah. L'hiver.
We can go over there and take care of that castle.
Que fait? Prêt. Oh yeah. Que fait? Cueilleur. Certes. L'hiver. Bonjour. Oh yeah. Assaut. Certes. L'hiver. À la bataille. Que fait? Oh yeah. Certes.
Prêt.
Cueilleur. L'hiver. Prêt. Oh yeah. L'hiver. Certes. Oh yeah.
Kay, libère.
Que fait?
Certes. Pastisseau.
Que fait? L'hiver. Certes. Bonjour. À la bataille. Da. Assaut. Oh yeah. L'hiver. Certes. À la bataille. Cueilleur. Da. Assaut. Bonjour.
Prêt. Oil. Terax. Pastisseau. Cueilleur. Pastisseau.
Prêt. Oh yeah. Certes. L'hiver. Oh yeah. Certes. Bonjour. Cueilleur. Prêt. L'hiver. Que fait? Oh yeah. Cueilleur.
Oh, there goes the villagers.
Prêt. L'hiver. Que fait? Assaut.
And bring the flag over. Medieval demolitions. Yep, bombard cannons.
Prêt. Oyez. Certes. Cueilleur. Là. Oyez. À la bataille. L'hiver. Certes. L'hiver.
Get the villagers.
Que fait? Certes. Oyez. L'hiver. Prêt. Oyez. Cueilleur. Azot. Que fait? Là.
Vive la France!
A century of English toil, blood, and victories was reversed in a little over a year by a teenage girl. The 100 Years' War has ended. Even more importantly, Joan's acts ignited a sense of French nationalism. Peasants and nobles alike no longer belong to lords and kings, but to France herself. We will not let Joan be forgotten. Already, statues and stained glass portraits have been commissioned in hundreds of towns and cities throughout France. Her verdict of guilt was rightfully reversed, and I expect that Joan of Arc will soon be beatified as a saint. Sometimes the outcome of history is determined by strength of arms, other times by happenstance. But in 15th century France, history was determined by the will of a young girl, the only person in history to command the armies of an entire nation at the age of 17.
And that's the end of the Joan of Arc campaign. That certainly went better than our first attempt. Definitely the trick was eliminating these two threats early because, well, Shrewsbury resigns relatively quickly when you destroy their town and castle, looks like. While Burgundy, after you just drive them out of the central area, they're just kind of stranded on their own piece of land over there. After that, all you have to do is just deal with the English threat. Which, as soon as you start amassing Imperial Age Cavaliers and Paladins, they're no big deal. Yeah, that's the Joan of Arc campaign done. And with the Joan of Arc campaign finished, we move on to the other side of the campaign, the Grand Dukes of the West. Grand Dukes of the West, 1407 to 1431. For decades, the Dukes of Burgundy have been embroiled in a bloody struggle over the control of the mad French king, using their cunning, military prowess, and immense wealth. However, as the blood that they spill is paid for with blood of their own, their focus turns increasingly northwards as they aim to create a kingdom of their own. In this campaign, you will play as the Burgundians. We start with the Kingdom Divided. For the achievement No Wheels, where we must not construct a single siege weapon. We're literally going to be committing to human wave tactics.
Tomorrow, when Joan of Arc burns at the stake, I want you to watch carefully. Not the young woman in the flames, but the men who sentenced her to burn. The English will carry out the sentence, but when nothing but her ashes remains, it is the Grand Duke of the West, our Duke of Burgundy, that will have seized a triumph. For you see, this spectacle is not really about the Maid of Orleans. Her death is only as important as the benefit that it brings us. What burns on that pyre is not Joan the person, but La Pucelle, the symbol of the French resistance. You are young, my son. You have never seen our duchy as anything but a powerful state. But we were not always so mighty. In the greater tale of history, Burgundy is but a newborn power, carved from the lands of the kingdoms and empires that surround us. Our ascent began with John the Fearless, the father of our current duke. Up until then, the Dukes of Burgundy and the Armagnac faction had been equal rivals, fighting for influence at the court of the Mad King of France. Louis, the leader of the Armagnac faction, had been using the funds of the French crown for years to stifle John in any way possible. He also boasted of having bedded John's wife. Tiring of these insults, and Louis's abuse of royal influence, John decided to end their rivalry for good. Just 3 years into his reign, he sent 15 men to stab the Armagnac Duke to death on the streets of Paris in broad daylight. It was a true show of force. In one bloody act, John established himself as the most powerful duke in France. The Armagnac faction, now leaderless, began preparing for a long war. To keep the Burgundians occupied, they supported a revolt in the city of Liège, which was ruled by John's brother-in-law, the Duke of Bavaria. John the Fearless would not let such unrest spoil his plans for the Grand Duchy. And so he marched his armies north, to a small village outside Liège called Auteuil.
Main objectives: capture the city of Liège by destroying 2 of its 3 castles. The Burgundians are restricted to a population limit of 150, and you cannot advance to its imperial age. 6 villages that support the rebels are located in the vicinity. You can plunder their trade workshops, mills, and markets for additional resources. You can trade with your ally for additional gold income, but ensure that your enemies do not wreak havoc on your trade routes. John the Fearless has recruited siege engineers from the Flemish cities whose expertise provides the Burgundians with the means to construct cap rams that we will not be using. John the Fearless and his army have assembled to the west, accompanied by some villagers which can set up a camp. The city of Liège is located to the southeast. The rebels will defend the city fiercely with its skirmishers, spearmen, and archers. As long as the city supply camps remain intact, Liège will also make use of gunpowder units such as hand cannoneers and organ guns, so destroy those first. Your ally, the Duke of Bavaria, has set up his camp to the north. Eager to take back Liège, the Duke will send heavy cavalry and monks into battle. 6 nearby villages support the rebels in Liège, but are barely defended and can be easily plundered.
The Armagnacs are inciting the local population to take up arms and rebel. John, let us put an end to this insubordination.
Loot markets, mills, and trade workshops in the nearby villages to receive additional resources. Before that, let's look over the Burgundian tech tree. Similar to their Frankish brothers, the Burgundians are a cavalry civilization. Economic upgrades available 1 age earlier and cost minus 50% food. Stable technologies cost 50% less, so they can go up to Paladin much easier, but they're not as durable as the Frankish ones. Cavalry upgrade available in the Castle Age, which is pretty powerful. It's a 20 health upgrade and plus 2 attack. And it's pretty cheap too, since the minus 50% upgrade cost also applies. Your unique units are the Custier, a cavalry that has a charge attack, which can periodically allow them to do a large burst of damage. The unique text is Burgundian Vineyards. Farmers slowly generate gold in addition to food, which is good, especially on a long game where we start running out of gold. And their Imperial Age tech is Flemish Revolution, which converts all existing villagers to Flemish Militia, which is... here they are. It's an infantry unit that has that's kind of like a spearman, but not as weak as a spearman. That's pretty neat. Team bonuses relics generate both gold and food.
Sì, i re. I compru.
There's a stone deposit nearby. Ooh, that's a stone deposit.
Sì, i bush do bati.
And there's also a village. Nice.
Sì, immédiatement.
Fra i vani. I min.
Why are we neutral with them? We can just loot them.
Bonjour.
The grain that the villagers had stored in this mill will now feed the Burgundian army.
We should also upgrade our knights. Keep the crossbows around for defense.
I compru. I re.
Fra.
Is there a gold mine? There's a gold mine.
Bonjour, i bati.
Every coin that we take is one less coin that our enemies can spend. There are many to be found in this market. Lumber and stone was stored in this trade workshop. We will make good use of these resources.
Huzzah! Oh, there's the edge. Ooh, they got a good economy going.
Si, immédiatement.
Let's put the castle here. And get chain barding armor to boost our cavalry, so they don't die as often. Oh no! Damn you, spearmen.
Fra i min. I
Let's
bati.
get this castle faster.
The grain that the villagers had stored in this mill will now feed the Burgundian army.
Bonjour, compre. I bati.
Fra immédiatement. Bonjour. I bati.
The grain that the villagers had stored in this mill will now feed the Burgundian army.
We're gonna have to replenish our cavalry numbers.
Sì, i bati, i bati.
The grain that the villagers had stored in this mill will now feed the Burgundian army.
It is past time to take back what is mine! Charge, my knights! Charge! What are you waiting for, John the Fearless? Join me!
Vos ordres? Fra i bati, i bati, i bati.
Sorry, I'd rather have an economy first.
Si.
Sì, i bati.
I compru. Har i re. E tace mastru. Evanse i compru. Har i re. E tace si mastru. Evanse i compru. Har i re. Evanse. Si mastru. Ive. I compru. Etace. Si mastru. Har. Bonjour. Vosotros. Ive. Etace. Evanse. I compru. Har. Si mastru. Etace. Ive. Evanse. Si mastru. Har. I compru. Si mastru.
Pra, i vai.
Let's get some monks up so we can heal our cavalry.
Bonjour.
University too, why not?
Bati, si. I bati. Vosorus, i min. Bonjour, ra. I bati. I bati. I bush dubo. I cuti.
Vosotros i bati. Si. Bonjour, i bati. Vosotros i bati. I bati.
Si. I bati.
Si. I compru.
Oh, there's another village down there. Oh yeah, we have to take down the supply camps. And let's trade with our ally. Send some more trade carts down there.
The grain that the villagers had stored in this mill will now feed the Burgundian army.
Vosorus, si. I vai. I compre. Immédiatement, si. I compre. I vai. Vosorus, i min.
Pra. I min.
Lumber and stone was stored in this trade workshop. We will make good use of these resources.
I bati.
Si mastru. Avutavis.
Sire, your nefarious enemies in Paris have renewed the charges against you for freeing France from this insane tyrant.
Oh, these bastards. They seem not to take me seriously. I will show them. No more mercy to our enemies. Spare no one.
Si.
Yeah, they're actually attacking.
Si, immédiatement. Si. Vosotros.
Quick, retreat to the castle!
Avutavis.
Bonjour, immédiatement. I compre.
Oh, there goes our castle building. Run away, John the Fearless!
Bonjour. Immédiatement. I bati.
Vosorus, dubo. Bonjour. I vai. Pra, si. Immédiatement. Bonjour. Immédiatement. I bati.
If we can get this castle up, we'll have a better, some better defense.
I bush dubo.
Iron casting.
Si, immédiatement.
Can you just take over enemy buildings of fortification, or must they be destroyed and rebuilt with local labor and materials?
Every coin that we take is one less coin that our enemies can spend. There are many to be found in this market.
Normally, yes, they have to be destroyed and you can't convert them, unless if you have the Monk's Redemption tech. But even then, the Redemption does not let you convert everything. As you can see in the tooltip on the lower left, it says monks can convert enemy buildings except town centers, castles, monasteries, farm, fish traps, walls, gates, and wonders. So if I wanted to, I could research that tech and have a monk take over a house, or this mill, or well, maybe even this barracks, but it takes a while. But no, usually you have to spend your own resources to build buildings.
Sì, I vai.
There's another stone deposit somewhere. Let's see. Oh, there's one.
I batti.
And another village to raid.
These obnoxious rebels somehow managed to break into my camp. Come to my aid as quickly as possible, John.
I'm on it. Alright, you got this. This is a small force.
Lumber and stone was stored in this trade workshop. We will make good use of these resources. The grain that the villagers had stored in this mill will now feed the Burgundian army.
And there's another village
Lumber
over
and
there.
stone was stored in this trade workshop. We will make good use of these resources.
Okay, now I see. There's more of them. And let's take care of these villagers. And flee! Let's send our Coustiers over there into the last village. We can also get this trade workshop if we can.
See.
These simple-minded rebels in Liège seem to think that our scouts would not discover their secret gunpowder depots. How wrong they are. Destroy the depots, so the Liège rebels can no longer make use of their cannons. Our Duke has been wounded. Return him to safety, so that he can recover from his wounds.
That's fine, that's not the end of the world.
Service.
We should get murder holes and ballistics.
Every coin that we take is one less coin that our enemies can spend. There are many to be found in this market. The grain that the villagers had stored in this mill will now feed the Burgundian army.
To overcome the walls of Liège, we will need siege weapons. It would be wise to start constructing some, John.
Sorry, the achievement says I can't. Ooh, there's a lot of resources back here. Ooh, there's another village.
Immédiatement.
Alright, let's go over and take out some of their gunpowder depots. I didn't catch this village on the way back. How much population can we support? We can support 150. We need 2 more houses.
Sì, i bati.
I also need more food.
Fusorus,
We're good on wood, we just need food. And food will also help us get gold since we have unique tech.
Bati.
Pra, ibush dubo. Ibati, ibati.
Charge, men! For Burgundy! Let's just hit this trade workshop and leave.
We have destroyed one of the rebels' gunpowder stores.
Oh, there's some gold here. We could probably take that. Let's just get these towers. We should train some infantry too. Infantry are pretty good at destroying buildings.
Sì.
Raising them anyway.
Vosotros, i vai. I bati, i bati, i bati. I bati, i bati.
There we go. Let's take down this gate too. Why not? Just make it easier for our future villagers to pass them. Hey, look, villagers.
Lumber and stone was stored in this trade workshop. We will make good use of these resources. The grain that the villagers had stored in this mill will now feed the Burgundian army. Every coin that we take is one less coin that our enemies can spend. There are many to be found in this market.
Pra. Ibati. Vosotros. Ibati.
Okay, now let's get these other depot.
Both gunpowder depots are in ruins, sire. Without their cannons, the rebels will be an easier target.
Yeah. Now I just have to reduce the H's population down. We can just hit their town centers. Oh, hello. Where'd you guys come from?
Si.
Run away! Run away!
Bonjour. Immédiatement. Si. Imin.
Si. Ibati. Vosotros. Si. Ibati. Bonjour.
Get the other town center. Set our town center down. There's also a town center out here, isn't there? But the biggest problem is just punching through the walls with cavalry swords. Maybe we can build a dock and have our... How did you get inside? Okay. Just take out the town center, I guess.
Pra. I compră. Ibati.
Come on, get out of here. We need more gold.
Bonjour.
Ra.
Ibati. Vosotros? Si, Ivai. Ibati. Ra. Ibati.
Vosotros. Y compreux. Immédiatement.
Maybe then we could just send some cavalry in here with transport ships. And then snipe the villagers.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Ra. Si.
We need more gold.
Imin. Ibati.
I wonder if the edge is mining outside its walls. It could be. Maybe I should set up some outposts so we know if any villagers are there so we can snipe them.
Vosotros.
Why do you guys keep bypassing me? Baffling is what it is.
About service.
Si. Ivai. Ibati.
Run! Run into the fray! We get their villagers. Actually, get their town center first. Wreak havoc! Oh hey, there's some guys gathering gold out there. And building a town center! Sacrilege! Do you remember to get murder holes? We did not. Well, hopefully, with all these villagers slain, then we don't have to take down any castles at all. Maybe? Yes!
Has surrendered, but I will not show mercy to these traitors. Drive all rebels out of their hiding places. Hang them all. Wipe out their entire families while you are at it.
I didn't need those transport ships after all. You're victorious, and with no siege engines built.
The Battle of Auteuil was a decisive victory for John the Fearless. He rode in triumph to Paris, and his armies entered the city without a fight. The Armagnac plot had failed. But since they had not openly waged war on him, John could not yet exact his revenge by force. Instead, John had the 15-year-old son of the deceased duke brought before him. Still mourning the death of his father, the boy was forced to forgive his father's murderer in public. A cruel act, you say? And that it was. But remember, my son, that cruelty was not John's goal, only a means to an end. By orchestrating this public display, John showed not just the boy, but the entire house of Armagnac on their knees, kissing his feet. It was one insult too many for the proud Armagnacs, and the struggle between the two factions would soon turn into open war.
That was surprisingly simpler than the first time I tried it. No relics on this map, unfortunately. I guess the moment you start breaking down, you break through one of the gates, you can just go in and just slaughter villagers and just leave. Just keep doing that over and over. But there's no more villagers left. Now we move on to the next mission, the Wolf and the Lion.
John the Fearless was now the most powerful man in France. But his rivals, the House of Armagnac, had not been idle. Now led by the fearsome Count Bernard, they built an alliance against John that included the Dukes of Orléans and Bourbon, and the Count of Alençon. Bernard sent bands of ravaging mercenaries into the lands controlled by John to draw him out. For John, this was the last straw. He marched his army out of Paris to face the burgeoning alliance. And so France fell headlong into a war that would last for decades.
Main objectives: drive the Cocher out of Ile-de-France. Burgundians can advance to Imperial Age already, and support a population of 200. Concentrate on liberating Ile-de-France in the beginning. You'll need a base before you can engage the Armagnacs. Neutral villages can be found all over the map. If you manage to capture one, its inhabitants will produce resources for you. Control of a village is determined by ownership with a converting torch in the center of it. Keep in mind that your enemies can also occupy villages or take villages back from you. There are several ways to achieve victory. You do not have to wipe out all your enemies completely. For Scouts report, John the Fearless forces have assembled west of Paris, and to end the terror of the Ecochères have brought over Ile-de-France. The Ecochères are mercenaries from southern France that have been hired by Bernard de Armagnac. Their men-at-arms, crossbowmen, and light cavalry initially control St. Cloud in the west. Neutral villages can be found all over the map. Taking control of these can be to your advantage. See hint number 3. Bernard de Armagnac, the leader of the rival league, has gathered his forces to the south. His army consists of heavy cavalry, swordsmen, and crossbowmen. Bernard has also the means to construct trebuchets. Ooh. 3 other influential dukes have forged an alliance with Bernard. John of Bourbon controls a large domain to the southeast and commands a huge army consisting mostly of infantry. John of Alençon controls the western part of the map. He will send crossbowmen, pikemen, and mangonels your way. Charles of Orleans has set up his camp to the south. His forces consist of knights, skirmishers, and battering rams. English mercenaries have been sighted in the northwest. It might be possible to recruit them, but doing so could become an expensive enterprise. Hold on, I'm going to be right back. And I'm back.
The Armagnacs hire bloodthirsty southern rabble to lay waste to our beloved country. We will hunt down the Ecochères, one by one.
Oh, nothing like a good crossbowman barrage would help with. Good crossbowman barrage can't fix.
Vos autres, c'est Mastrou comprou. Vos autres, à vos services, c'est Mastrou. Si. y compru. Ive, si mastru. Ive, si mastru, compru. Ivai, si. Immédiatement, Ivai, immédiatement, Ivai. Si, y compru. Si, immédiatement.
There they are! Engage these haughty Burgundians!
Si, immédiatement. Si, bon.
Oh, there goes a monk.
Vos autres, Ive, y compru. Ive, si mastru, compru, si mastru. Ivai, immédiatement, si. Service. Si, Ive, y compru. A votre service, Ive, si mastru, compru, Ive. Si, immédiatement. Vos autres, si mastru. Si, si. A votre service, si mastru, y compru, y compru, vos autres. A votre service, si mastru. Service, vos autres. Si, immédiatement. Si, y compru,
Here they come all at once. Oh, hey, Tipper. How's it going?
Mercenary scum is out.
Ah, god damn it.
Quickly, clear the
I had
debris and
BRB
make it-
screen on. Ah, I'm gonna have to re-record that part.
Bernard
Yeah, sorry.
and his vile companions will attack soon.
Yeah, I just realized that. I'm not reading this a second time.
The Armagnacs hire
Si,
bloodthirsty
mastru.
southern rabble to lay waste to our beloved country. We will hunt down the Écorcheurs, one by one.
That goes everything.
Vos autres. Si. Vos autres. Y compru. Vos autres, Ive. Ivai. Bon. Si, Ivai. Bon. Immédiatement. Si. A votre service. Y compru. Si, mastru. Ivai. Immédiatement. Bon. Immédiatement. Ivai. A votre service. Si, Ivai. Si. Si. A votre service. Si. Immédiatement. Si. Y compru. Si, mastru. Ive. Y compru. Immédiatement.
There they are! Engage these haughty Burgundians!
Si. Bon. Ivai. Si. A votre service. A votre service. Bon. Vos autres. Ivai.
I'll take that light cavalry.
Vos autres. Si. Immédiatement. Si. Ive. Si, mastru. Y compru. Si, mastru. A votre service. Ive. Arme. Si, mastru. Y compru.
Charge!
Sì, sì, mastro. I compru. Service, sì. Immédiatement. Vous autres, sì, mastro. Sì, vous autres, sì, mastro. Vous autres, sì, vai. Service.
Ah, and here they come along.
Service, i compru. Sì, mastro. Vous autres, sì, i compru. Vous autres, service, sì, i compru. Sì, mastro.
Har!
Sì.
The mercenary scum is ousted. Quickly, clear the debris and build a camp. Bernard and his vile companions will attack soon. We need to be prepared when the battle begins.
Vous autres.
Vos ordres, i recoil.
Vos ordres, immédiatement. I recoil. Fra. I recoil.
Si, i compre. Bonjour. Immédiatement. I bâti. Vos ordres, i vai. I recoil. Si, i recoil.
We cannot hide here and let the enemy take the initiative. There are numerous villages in the region that we should occupy before the Armagnacs can.
We're gonna need some stone first. Do we even have a stone deposit somewhere?
Si, i compre. I vai. Vos ordres?
Oh hey, there's Charles d'Orléans.
The Armagnacs have gained control of a village. This cannot go unchecked.
Fra.
We're gonna need a lot. Oh, there's stone.
Si. I bouche du beau. I bâti.
But they control some villages.
Bonjour. Imin.
Bonjour. Si. Vos ordres? Bonjour.
Vos ordres?
Unless I
Immédiatement.
need some gold.
I bâti.
We have captured a village. Its inhabitants will gather resources for us now.
You Burgundians are a rich people, they say. And it is known that you're always looking for capable soldiers. We are at your disposal. If you can afford us, of course.
Bati.
Si. Bonjour. Si.
I would like mercenaries to help me out while I fight, or prepare.
Just look at all of these graves. First the Black Plague and now this endless war. Will France ever find peace?
Hopefully. If we can get the Imperial Age, that'd be great. Oh, right, we need a Imperial Age building. Which includes castle.
I bati. Si imin. I bati. Ra, I bouge du bois.
Oh, I guess we could be cheap and build a university instead.
Si.
Si, I bouge du bois.
What else is a castle building? Monastery.
I bati. I bouge du bois.
Oh, they're actually gonna start fighting back.
Vos ordres?
Imperial Age, go!
Ra, si, I compré.
Let's get a second town center up. Already set it up,
You
though.
Burgundians think you can do without our longbows?
I bati.
Well, the Armagnacs.
No, I wanted to actually hire you.
The Armagnacs have gained control of a village. This cannot go unchecked.
I'm sorry, yeah, for being slow.
I vai. Sì. I bati.
Buongiorno.
We have captured a village. Its inhabitants will gather resources for us now.
Ra. I bati, I bati, I bati, I bati. Vos ordres? Ra. Immediat. I bati, I bati.
Buongiorno. I vai.
Buongiorno. I mean,
You Burgundians are a rich people, they say. And it is known that you're always looking for capable soldiers.
Ra.
We are at your
I vai.
disposal. If you can afford us, of course.
I bati.
Ah.
Si.
Hey, Danny.
Sì. I bati. Buongiorno. I bouche du immédiatement. Vos ordres?
Vos ordres? I compre. I vai. I bati.
Davis.
Alright, fine, I'll send gold right now. Yes, go get him, English.
Si min. I bati.
Okay, gonna have to give up this village. Oh no, they're actually gathering.
Sì, I compre. I batti. Buongiorno. Immediatamente. I batti.
Set up. Time to make some knights to retake those villages then.
What's up?
Ooh, there's a monastery with a relic here.
I compro. I vai.
Not Joan has advanced the Imperial Age. Unfortunate.
I batti. Vosorlas. I min.
That's a castle up. Now we can get Burgundian vineyards to get more gold.
I min.
Also gonna need a university.
I batti. Vosotros I batti.
I would have you see.
My men have admired their shiny, polished armor long enough. It is time to crush these Burgundian upstarts.
Well, let's hope our castle finishes in time. At least the English are doing some work. Murder holes.
That sound that you hear is not thunder. It is the sound of marching boots coming to destroy you. I am the Duc d'Alençon. Remember that name well, John.
No promises.
Si, immédiatement. Si. I batti. I batti.
Ooh, there's a stone deposit here.
Si, buongiorno. Immédiatement.
That's for the castle right over here.
Si, cuti.
Sì, I would have you see. E tacci, e avanzi.
Let's up go Imperial Age.
Vosotros?
Ra. I batti. I batti.
Bonjour. I bouge du bois. Si. I batti. Vosotros? Immédiatement. I min.
Oh no, those are a lot of battering rams. I'll just help put a castle over here too. You're gonna have to station some monks with these knights.
You killed my father, and somehow evaded justice for this heinous crime. But my day has come. I will have my vengeance.
There you won't.
And it will be sweet.
Sì.
That's a tier 1.
I min.
Oh, Right, there was a castle right here, but they kind of blew it up.
I bati.
That I kind of ignored.
Vosotros. Y ven.
Oops. Let's get paladins. Upgrade our cavalry even more. You start training Cuirassiers if we can. Definitely need to train some Cuirassiers. Chemistry. We'll just snipe these battering rams, and then hold back up in the castle. Gotta take and liberate that village too.
Posorres. Buongiorno. Ivai. Ibati. Ibati.
Buongiorno. I bati.
We could also take
You are
advantage of
nothing
our
but a
hand cannons.
devious murderer who has escaped justice for far too long. But mark my words, John, I will right this wrong.
Oh boy, now we're getting attacked by Bernard. No, not Flemish Revolution yet. I'm gonna lose all my villagers if I do that.
Si. Ra, I cultivi.
We want to leave Cuirassiers though.
Vosotros. I vai. I bati. Buongiorno. I compre. I min.
Posorres. I compre. Si. Fra.
Davis.
This war is cruel, and many of my men have already paid with their lives. I am afraid that we will need more money if you want us to continue risking our necks.
Alright, fine, I'll give you some gold.
Sí.
Ra.
Davis y compró.
Let's see, who do we take out first? I think our best bet is taking out Yellow first. He seems to be the one going around and converting villages the most. Where's the Duke of Dawn? Jan Sonat is the western part of that. Alright, let's go take him down first.
Vosotros.
We're gonna
Si.
need more gold.
I bati.
Buongiorno. Ibati.
Sí. Vosotros. Y ven.
Ra. Si. Buongiorno. Si. I bati. Vosotros. I vai. I compre. Immédiatement. Si. Vosotros. Si. I bati.
Si. I compre. I bouge si. Beau. Buongiorno. Immédiatement. I vai. Immédiatement. I vai.
That side is protected. Let's get this gold.
Ibati.
And let's get some trebuchets to help us.
Si, Posaurus, I bouche du beau.
Bonjour, I bouge du beau.
Pra, I bati, I bati.
I bati. Si.
Si, I compreux. I bati, I bati, I bati, I bati. Pra, I bati. Posaurus, si. Bonjour, I bati.
And we're also going to have to research banking because we're probably going to be sending a lot more tribute to the English. Let's go take out John Dolit's own. Yeah, we should also take out Jean de Bourbon.
Bonjour. Pra. Vos ordres. Immédiatement. Imine. Bonjour. Imine. I bouge du compreux. I bati.
Let's get dock set up here.
I cultive.
It's time for a siege! As soon as we find a good opening.
Sí.
Arm.
Pra.
Oh, right. I've completely forgot about the bonus objective. I can either defeat Bernard the Armagnac or defeat 3 allies. Let's defeat 2 and then also defeat Bernard. Nope, you're not going to put down a town center on my watch.
Si, I vai. I bati.
You and your Burgundian rabble shall not stop us. Watch your back, John, because this is far from over.
You think that targeting my allies will stop me? Like the Hydra, for every head that you cut off, 2 new ones will grow in its place. We will not stop until your blood waters our precious French soil.
We can grab this relic at least.
Fra, si vai. I bati.
Alright, good night, Tipper. Yeah, let's go take over this. Let's go take over this village.
Vos ordres. Fra, i bouge du bois.
Vosot, Simastru. Avutavis. I compru.
Bonjour.
This war is cruel, and many of my men have already paid with their lives. I am afraid that we will need more money if you want us to continue risking
Yeah, more money.
our necks for you.
Who's the next on the annoying list?
Bonjour. Ibati. Ikuti.
Yeah, we could immediately go for Bernard. Or we could just go straight for... Maybe we'll go for John de Bourbon. Because he's also kind of in the way. Like lambs to the slaughter.
Si, I compru.
Oh hey, Siege Workshop. Wink.
Avutavis, Simastru. I compru.
Geez, that's a lot of villagers. Nom, 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 nom.
Vosot.
Where are my trebuchets? They're somewhere. Ah, there they are. Slowly making their way.
Si, Avutavis. Vosot, Simastru. Etace.
Unleash the cannons!
Si. Vosot, I compru. Simastru. I compru. Evanse. Si, I compru. Simastru. I compru. Simastru. Etace.
Oh, they recaptured the town. Can't have that.
Si, Simastru.
Oh jeez.
Sì,
This
reparai.
castle's almost dead.
Davis. Vosot i compru, si mastru compru i re. Si mastru i re.
Villagers must be... Their villager count must be low, so they should probably surrender soon.
Si mastru.
Hopefully. Or better.
I re. I compru. Si. E vanze. Si mastru compru. E tace i re.
Oh,
Si
there's...
mastru.
We should probably take down that castle. It's important.
Vosotros immédiatement. Bonjour. I vai. Compre.
We have
Immédiatement.
captured a relic. The Burgundian monasteries will become places of pilgrimage, while the clergy of the Armagnacs will remain as poor as church mice.
Immédiatement.
Oh, I guess that's another option to win the game.
Davis i compru i re. Har.
A curse on you, Burgundian dogs!
Posaurus.
I actually underestimate you, John.
I vai. Immédiatement. Si. I
Now
batti.
this gold is mine.
Vosot si mastru. I compru. Si mastru. I re. Si mastru. I compru.
Si. Posaurus. I cultive.
Now to take down Bernard de Armagnac.
I batti. I batti. I batti. I batti. I batti. I batti.
Hey! Random villagers. I guess they must be running low on economy if they are sending villagers that far out to hunt.
Si. Si mastru. Vosot.
Fra. I batti. Si. Bonjour. Fra. I bouge du I vai. I compre. Si. I batti.
And there goes another English attack.
Vosot. Davis. Si.
Charge!
This war is cruel.
Yeah. I need to
Many
mark
of
it.
my men
Vosotros
have already
immédiatement.
paid with their lives.
I batti.
I am afraid that we will need more money if you want us to continue risking our necks for you.
I comprou. I ve. Vos I comprou. Si mastru. Si. Si mastru. Evanse. Har. I ve. I comprou. Etace. Har. Evanse. Travis. Etace. Har. Si mastru. Evanse. Vos Travis. Si. Etace. Har. Vos Etace. Travis. Ive. Evanse. I comprou. Har. Ive. Evanse. Si. I comprou. Etace. Si mastru. Si mastru. Evanse. Etace. Vos Ive. Har. I comprou. Ive. Si mastru. Ive. Si mastru. Ive.
What are you doing there? Oh well, might as well send the rest of our army up there.
Vos Si comprou. Si.
Oh, right. English.
Ra. I bati.
Sì, buongiorno, Ra. Immediatamente i bati.
No mercy for the Armagnacs.
Si. Travis. Vos
Sì, i bati.
Si. Bon.
2 relics are in our possession now.
Immediately.
We are halfway to our goal.
Si.
Buongiorno. Vai. I bati.
Oh. That's where one of the trebuchets went.
Si. Etace.
And there's a second counter.
Travis.
Har.
Vos Immediately.
Sì, i compro. I bati.
Bonjour. I vai. Si. Vos ordres. I compre.
Ra.
Immédiatement. I bati. Si.
Service.
We have managed to snatch 3 relics from our enemies. If we acquire one more, nothing will stand between us and victory.
When did we manage to conquer a village? Oh well, this game is almost over anyway. And that should be it for Bernard.
Just
There we
look
go.
at all of these graves. First the Black Plague and now this endless war. Will France ever find peace?
We will meet again, John. France will never be yours.
Victory!
The Armagnac alliance was broken. For now. But even as he was victorious on one front, John faced a serious setback in Paris. A revolt by the Butchers' Guild, which was loyal to Burgundy, had spiraled out of control, and the Burgundians and their loyalists were expelled from the city. John retreated to his domains in Burgundy to regroup, but he would not be able to rest easily. Across the sea, an old foe of the French had been lying in wait, anticipating the right moment to strike. For Henry V, the King of England, that moment had now come.
It's gonna be the 100 Years' War all over again. Ooh, the English actually researches capped rams eventually. How do they do that when they're stuck in Castle Age, though? Yeah, it's like controlling all those villages gave us a lot of resources. Definitely useful. Sure, I think we have enough time for one more. Let's move on to the cleansing of Paris.
In England, they celebrate the Battle of Agincourt as a victory over France. In truth, it was a victory only over the Armagnacs. The Burgundians stayed out of the fight, and John eagerly watched as the English king did his work for him, decimating the Armagnac alliance. Still, the English invasion of France had swiftly turned in Henry's favor. With the road to Paris now open, he marched his armies towards the French capital. Sensing his time to strike, John the Fearless rallied his armies. He would race the English to Paris and seize it from the Armagnacs before Henry could arrive.
Main objective: kill Bernard de Armagnac to conquer Paris. Secondary objectives: the 3 guild leaders that are willing to cooperate with the Burgundians can be found in the city. Meet with them and attempt to earn their support. Jean the Fearless must rely on the strength of his army. He can neither build his own economy nor train additional troops. However, influential Parisian citizens that are dissatisfied with the rule of the Armagnacs may be persuaded to join the Burgundians. The Armagnacs control all of Paris gates. The Armagnacs control all of Paris' gates. Drive away or eliminate the soldiers guarding each gate to open them. The struggle for Paris is already in full swing. You'll find insurgents that you can integrate into your army everywhere in the city and in its vicinity. Your scouts report, John the Fearless and his army have assembled west of Paris, near the St. Martin Abbey. From here, a road leads to the Porte de Buchy. With the help of defectors, the Burgundians should not have much difficulty in capturing the gate and gaining access to Paris. The Armagnacs control the city, but have upset many of its residents. Spies report that street fights are already breaking out between the Armagnac soldiers and the townspeople everywhere in Paris. Surrounded by his bodyguards, Bernard de Armagnac has withdrawn to the north of the city. The Parisian guilds have not forgotten the many favors that John the Fearless has done them. University scholars could also be willing to help the Burgundians get rid of the Armagnacs. Scouts report that the huge English force is marching toward Paris. John the Fearless must conquer Paris before the English arrive.
Do not let up, men. We have to seize the
Vos
gates.
sì, compru. Avancez. Sì.
We will help you, Burgundians. The
Vos
Armagnac's reign of terror must be brought to an end.
The gate is ours, but there is
Sì,
no
sì,
time to
mastro.
rest.
I compru.
We must conquer Paris before the English arrive and take what is rightfully mine.
Vosotros.
English army arrives in 45 minutes.
Abutais.
Let's send the light cavalry out to explore.
We fight by your side, Burgundians.
Sì. E tace. Vosotros.
Let's send this cavalry
This
regiment
gatehouse
out.
is no longer controlled by the Armagnacs.
Sì, mastro. I compru. Sì.
Let's send the infantry into the city, and the cavalry can be outside and just roam a bit.
Vosotros. Sì. I compru. Sì, mastro.
This gatehouse is no longer controlled by the Armagnacs.
We will help you fight the Armagnac oppressors.
Vosotros. Abutais. Vosotros.
We fight by your side,
Sì,
Burgundians.
sì, mastro. Avancez. Abutais. Vosotros. E tace.
We've got allies on the other side of the locked gate, and they can't actually fight back because the gate is locked.
We will help you fight the Armagnac oppressors.
Sì, I compru. Sì, mastro. I compru. Abutais.
This gatehouse is no longer controlled by the Armagnacs.
Sì. Avancez. Abutais. Vosotros. E tace. Avancez. Sì, mastro. Compru. Sì, I compru.
We fight by your side,
Vosotros.
Burgundians.
Avancez. E tace. I compru. Sì, mastro. Avancez.
Our enemies block the river, bringing all trade to a standstill.
Sì, mastro.
If we destroy the river blockade,
Sì,
the merchants
sì,
will
mastro.
help us conquer the city.
We will help you fight the Armagnac oppressors.
Abutais. Sì. Abutais. Sì, mastro. I compru. Sì,
This
mastro.
gatehouse is no longer controlled by the Armagnacs.
We fight by your side, Burgundians.
Ooh, siege engines.
Vosotros. I compru. Sì, sì,
Ugh,
mastro.
I lost
I
a lot of
compru.
units there. We have to destroy the Armagnac River blockade.
Vosotros. Sì, mastro. Abutais. Sì, I compru.
We will
Sì,
help you
mastro.
fight the Armagnac oppressors.
Abutais. Vosotros. I compru. Sì, mastro.
We fight by your side, Burgundians.
Sì.
It's an enemy.
Vosotros. Sì, mastro.
There's also a gatehouse over there that we need to liberate.
We will help you fight the Armagnac oppressors.
Sì, I compru, sì, mastro. I compru.
Bernard forbade the Craftsmen's Guild to cut wood in the nearby forests.
Sì,
And so,
sì,
they lack
compru.
building materials.
Sì, mastro.
If we drive the Armagnacs out of the forests, the Parisian craftsmen will surely take our side. 35 minutes until the English arrive. We must hurry.
Alright, liberate the lumber camps up there.
I compru. Sì, mastro.
That shouldn't be too hard. Liberate the lumber camps, destroy the Armagnac River blockade. We're probably going to need our cavalry for that one.
Sì.
Ooh, relic cart. That's not going to come in handy later at all. Maybe. I think that's all we can do around here. With like this patch of land or whatever.
Uzot. Avutavis. Sì, mastro.
We fight by your side, Burgundians.
The Armagnacs no longer occupy the forest.
Sì,
The Craftsmen's
compru.
Guild has joined our
Sì,
cause
mastro.
and built us these siege weapons.
Ooh, siege weapons. Break the blockade.
Uzot,
This gatehouse is no longer controlled by the Armagnacs.
I compru. Sì, mastro.
Did I want to bring the relic cart?
Sì.
I
Sì,
better
mastro.
have. No, I did not.
Uzot. Sì, I compru. Sì, mastro. Avutavis.
Alright, everyone gather by the river blockade.
Uzot, I compru. Sì, mastro.
Are you serious?
Avutavis.
there we go.
Compru. Sì, mastro.
Just escort the relic cart.
I compru. Sì, mastro. I compru. Sì, mastro.
I would have been so mad if I couldn't convert
Uzot.
that back to my action.
Sì.
Barbaric Armagnac soldiers took advantage of the general confusion. They stole the most precious artifacts from the university here in Paris. We should return these great pieces of French heritage.
I compru.
Hey, we found a relic earlier.
Uzot. Sì, mastro. Avutavis. I compru. Sì, mastro.
Here, how about... Oh, there's a second one? Where's the second one? Oh. I hope we find it.
Sì, compru. Sì, mastro.
Can we at least know where the relic is?
Uzot, I compru. Avutavis. Sì, mastro. Sì, I compru.
We will help you fight the Armagnac oppressors.
The river blockade has been lifted. The merchants will repair one of the destroyed bridges to help us cross to the other side of the Seine.
Sì, maestro. Sì, compru.
Ooh, that's probably a good idea.
Two monks from the Abbey of Saint-Martin have decided to join our forces.
Bon. Si. Bon. Immédiatement. Si. Bon. Y vai.
Why are you guys over there? You guys should not be over there.
Sì, maestro. Sì.
Arm.
Sì, ma compru. Sì. Avutavis.
E tacce.
Sì.
Arm.
This gatehouse is no longer controlled by the Armagnacs.
Huzzah!
Avutavis. Sì, maestro. I compru. Sì, ma I compru. Sì. Sì, ma compru. Sì, maestro.
E vanze.
I compru. Avutavis. Sì, maestro.
Oh, that takes care of some of it, but I think we might
The cowardly Armagnacs have imprisoned some men of the Butcher's Guild. We should free them.
This is not going to be good for our army.
Sì, compru.
Hope we still have
Sì,
enough to
maestro.
fight Bernard later. Hope we do. Kind of pointlessly lost a lot of units earlier.
The English army will arrive in 20 minutes.
Yeah, this is not good. I took way too many unfavorable fights.
En ordre. Immédiatement. Aux ordres. Immédiatement. Si. Il
We are free!
Aux ordres. I
Come,
compru.
brothers, let us join the
Et tacce.
Burgundians and liberate Paris from the Armagnacs. Cut them all down.
Avutavis. Si. Bon. Immédiatement. Si. Si.
The other relic is way up here or something.
We fight by your side,
Hey.
Burgundians.
Just what I needed. An army.
En ordre.
More cavalry to fight for us.
Aux ordres. En votre service. Immédiatement. Immédiatement. Si. Immédiatement. Immédiatement. À votre avis, c'est compris. Si. Vous autres. Si, bon. Vous autres. Immédiatement. Bon, immédiatement.
At least we found the other relic card.
Si.
Here, you can escort that back to the scholars. And this bridge is broken.
À votre avis, si, Mastro. Y compris. Vous autres. Si, Mastro. Si, Mastro. À votre avis, si,
So the butchers can return back. Oh, no,
Our
no.
Duke has been wounded.
Y compris.
Return him to safety so that he can recover from his wounds.
À votre avis, y compris. Si, Mastro. Si. Vous autres. Si, y compris. Si, Mastro.
I hope I can find some good reinforcements.
À votre avis, si. Si, Mastro. Vous autres, y compris. Mastro. À votre avis.
We will help you fight the Armagnac oppressors.
Vous autres, y compris. À votre avis, y compris. Si, Mastro. Y compris. Si. À votre avis, si, Mastro. Si, Mastro. Si, y
The
compris.
university's artifacts have been
Si, y
returned
compris.
as a sign of their
Ive.
gratitude. The scholars
Vous
have shared their knowledge with us. This
Si,
gatehouse is
Mastro.
no longer
À votre
controlled
avis,
by the
vous autres,
Armagnacs.
À votre avis. À votre avis. Si. Vous autres, si, Mastro.
Razor,
Si,
Blast
Mastro.
Furnace, and Siege Engineering Research.
À votre avis, si, Mastro. Y compris. Mastro. Y compris. Y compris. Si, Mastro. Immédiatement.
Alright, let's hope that was the last one and hope there's something up here.
We fight by your side, Burgundians.
Our scouts report that the English are close to
Vous autres,
Paris. We must hurry.
Si. Vous autres, y compris.
This gatehouse is no longer controlled by the Armagnacs.
Si, Mastro. Y compris. Si, Mastro. Si, Mastro. Vous autres.
Alright, well, we have a limited force, and we have almost nothing to go on.
Si. Détachez. Avancez.
This gatehouse is no longer controlled by the Armagnacs.
Zut alors! How did the Burgundian dogs manage to get so close to the palace?
Si. Vous autres. Si. Vous autres.
Ah, man.
À votre avis, Mastro. Y compris. Si. Avancez. Vous autres. Si, Mastro.
That was certainly not enough to kill Bernard. Or is it? Nope, it was not. Oh, that's unfortunate. Did I miss some units that helped me? No, there was just a gauntlet of units over here. Oh, there were some over here. And over here. That could have been helpful. Oh, actually, there's a side path over here. Could I take that instead? I wonder if the game saved far back enough. Or early enough, I guess.
Sì, esatto. Sì, compro. E tacci. Esatto, sì, mastro. Evan sei. Sì. Esatto, sì, compro. Sì, mastro. E tacci, compro. Evan sei. Sì. Esatto, e tacci.
How did the Burgundian
Sì,
dogs manage to
Away.
get so close to the palace?
Avutavis, compro. Harm.
Skirmishers, go!
Sì, mastro.
Alright, let's quickly gather whatever forces we can from here and use them as reinforcements.
We will help you fight the Armagnac oppressors.
Sì.
And just go all in on Bernard. This could have been more efficient. I could have taken better fights, but oh well. At least I export almost everything. Well, except some units here.
Avutavis, pozot, Ive, I compru, Ive. Evan sei. Sì. Harm. E tacci. Evan sei. Sì, mastro. E tacci. I compru. Evan sei.
I am slain.
Harm. Sì, mastro. Evan sei. Ive. E tacci. Sì, mastro. Harm. I compru. Avutavis. Sì, mastro. I compru. E tacci. Ive.
What is this? Have the Burgundian daredevils beaten us to Paris? Damn you, John the Fearless.
We fight by your side, Burgundians.
Pozot.
Okay, now that is an actual... Now that is complete. Well, there's some little bit of units over here, but that's about it. Yeah, you are definitely not getting through that bridge in the middle. Helping helping out with the blockade actually makes it easier. Because you're taking the side path, the road less traveled. Yeah, and even with my haphazard play style, we still managed to make it through. But I think instead of going here, going around here, picking up a few more infantry, and some spearmen,
Mandatum?
and pikes. Well, actually, picking them up and then going back through here might be the best choice of option. Because then you're just taking this unnecessary fight. But either way, we got everything on this side. It's actually good to get the relics for the scholars, because that gave us a lot of technology. Hold on a second. Let's do that. Let's quickly that again, because we missed the cinematic.
Paris was now in Burgundian hands, but in seizing the city, John had made an enemy of the English king. Not wanting to fight both the Armagnacs and the English at the same time, he moved to make peace with his French rivals. The heir to the French throne, the Dauphin, agreed to meet with him on a bridge near Montereau. John and the Dauphin each arrived with 10 of their trusted men, and John knelt before the Dauphin as a show of respect. But as he rose, 2 men of the Dauphin's retinue, who were Armagnac loyalists, sprung into action and charged John with axes raised. It was a trap. Before the meeting could even begin, John the Fearless was struck down and killed, while the Dauphin only watched, unperturbed. It was a fitting end for the man whose career had started with just such an assassination. The Burgundians were outraged. There would be no peace between the French factions, and Henry V would go on to win many more battles against his fractured enemies. But while this marks the end of the story of John the Fearless, The tale of Burgundy is not yet over.
Yay. And I think that's enough for today. Probably gonna get the other ones next time. Next time we'll start with the unholy marriage. And then after we're done with this campaign, we can move on to the Hopvilles. But for now, I think that's enough for today. Let's see if there's anyone on.